Good morning, everyone. I hope traders and investors alike were green yesterday. In this video, I want to go over the day trading watch list. This is AMC. You can see that yesterday we did push up, got back above our 9 and 20. We have gap down this morning, so let's see where we are on the 15. Crude pulling back, still holding the 50. Did push up a little bit yesterday. Put to call ratio, we have moved back into the neutral zone. This is the McLaren oscillator for the NASDAQ. We are a positive 46, 48. That's in the neutral zone. The New York Stock Exchange, we're at negative 58, still in the neutral zone. The US dollar still pulling back. You can put a trend line on that. The dollar cooling off actually helps the market. VIX pulled back yesterday, still holding the 9. Still watching that 35 area for resistance. Apple has been chopping around yesterday, had a decent day and pushed up on volume into the 9. 9 is resistance. AbbVie, we've been looking at AbbVie with a bearish mindset and had a catalyst yesterday. We were expecting it to push up and put in a lower high, but it had some news yesterday with a very nice push up. We were expecting this to put in a lower high. So right now we are at resistance. Let's see how it acts there. MACD wants to cross. AMD, been looking at the semis with a bearish mindset. Very flat day yesterday, nothing special at all. Not flat, but it didn't trade as well as the market. Let's say it like that. Affirm pushed up right into resistance, right here into the 20 as well as the resistance at the bottom of the diamond here. This is Affirm. You can see it had a very, very strong push at open. Push right into this level here, which was previously marked on this chart. So the 2089-ish area, you can see down here, 2074, went just a little above it and got rejected. You can see where we've gapped down this morning. AMC, you can see where we pushed up, took resistance out yesterday, and got pulled back below it. So we gapped up in pre-market, took this resistance out, got pulled back below it in actual after the market opened. And you can see where we've gapped down into support this morning. AMD, you can see how flat of a candle, or should say how flat it traded yesterday versus some of the other stocks that we're going to look at. Amazon, we've been talking about this base down here, how it's been holding. We did get a move up. You can see the 9 was resistance. We were able to get a nice trade on this yesterday at open, though, after open. You can see this is Apple. Nice push up, filled this gap. So we actually took the gap out, went right into resistance here, which was previously marked, and pulled back after that. Boeing, we were watching this level for a level of resistance to see how it would act when it got there. Didn't even quite make it, and we started to pull back. One thing about Boeing is it never holds its pops. It's actually done better the last few days than what I expected. You can see right here we gapped up, gapped over top of resistance level, went into a resistance, pulled back below the original gap, and this morning we have gapped down, so now we have another gap to deal with this morning. Cliff traded very flat yesterday. You can see how it's trying, like we were expecting a small push because of X and New have guided up, so kind of hoping to see Cliff maybe get a little attention. Seeing the small doji down here, was expecting a possible push up. We are at a support level on the weekly chart. Chevron, see we are outside of the Bollinger Bands here, had a green candle yesterday, tried to push up a little bit, pretty much flat with the previous red candle. That's an area to watch. Take that candle out. Maybe we can try to recover a little bit. You can see we've gapped down here this morning on energy names as well. Whole market's gap down. ExxonMobil, another big gap down here. So we have a gap here. You can see there's a gap down here below. Just there's markets gaps everywhere in this market right now. I believe there's another gap in this area here if we decide to push up. So if we push down, we have a gap to fill here. If we push up, we have a gap to fill here. And then there's another gap waiting for us right here. Another gap waiting for us right there. GME had a decent day yesterday. I ended up pulling back, but right into the 200, almost to the 200. And you can see right here, 200's been resistance before. So that's the area to watch if we do push today. GME, just like everything else, we've gapped down. Not as big of a gap as some of the other assets, but we still have gap down. It has made a nice move down here. This gap ended up filling, gapping down this morning, ended up filling this gap. QQQ. If I drew a line through here, you would see we're trading it and like a wedge here. Ended up finding support and pushed up right into the 9. QQQ, 15-minute chart. You can see we gapped up yesterday morning, come back down at market open, filled some of the original gap, pushed, and had a decent day. We had a nice push up. It was actually seemed like it was a little stronger than the SPY. We actually made the 9. We traded back up to the 9 on the daily chart. We did gap down this morning. So gapping below yesterday's gap. Bonds has been. We just sent an alert to that to the Facebook group. Hopefully, guys are seeing it. So you can see this is the 20-year. It has been trying to put a base in down here, tried to push up. The 9 is resistance right now. We really need to see bonds push. You have a little gap here. Looks like it may have filled it with this candle. We need bonds to push. Would help the market. IWM, we had this bear flag. We got to move down. Actually went below. Nice move here. We went below the bottom of the flag. Come down yesterday. We had a doji candle. I know some of the traders tried to trade this. Actually traded this yesterday and they did well with it. But you can see what resistance is right here. So the bottom of the flag is a resistance level and we pushed right back into it. This is the IWM 15-minute chart. You can see yesterday we gapped up. This gap got filled by this down candle wick down, and then pushed back up. This morning we have gap down again, so there's a whole nother gap to deal with. You can also see that the IWM pushed into a previous gap. You can see where it filled some of it and was, ended up getting rejected from that level. MRO. See, we have another gap down this morning. Traded fairly flat yesterday compared to some of the other names. Okay, this is Meta. We've been trading in this wedge. Been wondering, were we going to hold this support and push, or were we going to end up breaching it when the 9 caught up? The 9 hadn't even quite caught up yet. We end up breaching below this wedge here. So, opening up below that level this morning, I'm sure we've gapped down like the rest of the market. I am bearish below this level. Facebook or Meta could make another significant move down below that level. It had been building a nice support there and took it out. This is the 15-minute chart. You can see where we gap down. So now we have a gap to deal with. Still have this gap. Actually, no, that gap got filled. May still be part of that gap left. have to do a little work to see those gaps. Some of those are definitely filled. So right now, yesterday's low for this one, and for most of them, yesterday's low, we've gapped down below that. So yesterday's low is a resistance level we're looking for, possibly come back and test to fill these gaps for a move down. It's hard to say with Powell speaking today. It's going to be a very today's a day that we what we call play the action. This is a day where we just need to go in, play the action, and not overthink anything. Literally play the action that's given to us. Microsoft pushed up yesterday into resistance, and the 9 coming down. Some of the tech names are into the 9, just like the Qs. You can see MRO, see how flat the candle was. If you go back, a lot of these, the 9s coming down, crossing the 20, getting ready to cross the 50. That's a bearish sign. I don't trade just with my MAs, but I do use them. That is another tool in the toolbox. You can see this morning, and with Oxy, we don't actually have a gap, but we did pull back yesterday at the end of the day, and we're just chopping around down here now. This is Oxy's daily chart. You can see we pushed up, traded right back to a support level, trying to push, traded pretty flat yesterday. PLTR, surprisingly, this pushed up. I would look for this area right here at the top of this candle for resistance. You can see your 50's on its way down. 50's telling you there's resistance there. So we did try to push, end up pulling back, but we're back above the moving averages. Let's see where we are on the 15. Once again, had a nice push at open. You can see, even though it's not a large dollar push, percentage-wise, it was a nice push yesterday. We gapped down, so to trade, like we're looking for a gap fill basically, or if we were to trade to the downside, we have this gap down here. You can see if I was to bring this over, this gap is close to support, so we can possibly get a gap fill to the downside if we come down, or a gap fill to the upside if we try to push. Same setup we had on a lot of stuff yesterday, gaps everywhere. SOFI, small gap down this morning. You can see we tried to push up yesterday right into a previous gap, which was resistance. You can also see the 9 on the daily. That's why it's so important for us to check these daily charts as well. We got to check these time frames as we're trading. There's your 9 on your daily to show you, to remind you that there's resistance there. SPY, a decent push up yesterday on the SPY. Gapping down this morning, giving it back. I know a lot of traders are probably getting burnt. There's a lot of people who probably took stuff home yesterday, trying to hold positions overnight. To me, it's just not worth it. It's a gamble. Even in a good market, it's a gamble. You have no control over your positions, no control over your options. You can see Tesla here. Tesla, we did take this wedge out, so we've been trading in this downtrend here, putting in a base right here, and we ended up taking it out yesterday with a super strong day. MACD starting to cross, chart starting to come together, showing relative strength, and see what it looks like this morning. Gap down. Unfortunately, we're probably back inside of that wedge. But we do have a gap here to deal with. You can see we have the gap below us from yesterday. We have a gap above us from this morning. So either way we move here, we could possibly see some gap filling on Tesla today. Definitely on the radar as always. UNG, pretty flat day yesterday. Upstart, you can see Upstart trying to push up into this downtrend here. Actually, this looks like a pretty decent chart, other than, we got above the 9 here, right into this downtrend, trying to show some relative strength, but the gap down this morning, let's see where that put us. We did gap down with the rest of the market. So that's moving us that much farther back away from that downtrend. We need, the perfect thing would have, we could have gapped up over top that downtrend this morning. It would have been a lot better than gapping back down. Need to take that trend out to move up, obviously. Wells Fargo, banks tried to push. Let's go look at the 15. You can see in pre-market, they chopped around. They were looking pretty decent in pre-market. They tried to push it open, and that was the high of the day right there. Actually, the next candle, you can see the wick got a little bit higher and then just give it back. ExxonMobil, this is ExxonMobil's daily. This chart still looks better than a lot of the other energy plays. You can see the MACD trying to respond here. Still looks better than a lot of these energy plays. Zim, very flat day. Gap down as well. You can see here we've been building this base here around this support level. This tried to push up yesterday, and the 9 was right there to act as resistance. So on Zim, we're in a downtrend. We're putting in a base, possibly getting ready for another downtrend here. So we have support, the 200 support. You can see we have support here as well. The 9's coming down. So which way are we going to go? There's a good chance with this market that the 9's going to apply enough pressure to get us below this 200 and continue down. We are building a base, putting in a flag here. So we are coming off a downtrend, putting in a base, and there's a good chance we're going to break out of that base with a further move to the downside. This 9's coming down, applying pressure. You can see the 9 coming down, crossing the 20, crossing the 50. It's just bearish. You can also see the MACD, the momentum is leaking out of it to the downside. So just keep a close eye on that to see, which way this may want to go. It could still go up, but signs are looking pretty bearish on it right now. Well, we're back to AMC. Hope everybody has a good green day. Be careful, protect your capital. Pals on deck for the next 2 days. That is definitely going to be the market moving catalyst for this week and for the next 2 days. I hope to see you in the trading room. Always remember, protect that capital. Discipline is key.